Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Sports, and now,
Talking the News with Noah
on 77 WABC.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the News with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports, and now,
Talking the News with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Good morning, James Flippin filling in for Noam Layden on this Wednesday, December 31st. Right now, mostly cloudy, will be rising a bit from the overnight low of 24. Wind chill values in the teens. Steady wind right around 17 miles per hour. It is breezy out there. Today, though, thankfully not as windy as yesterday was. And looking ahead to the 3-day weather forecast, tonight into Thursday into 2026, there's actually the chance for some snow, probably less than half an inch if we get it. Breezy and cloudy with a low near 25. And then tomorrow, Thursday, mostly cloudy through mid-morning. Then becoming sunny with a temperature falling to around 25 by the evening. Wind chill values between 10 and 15. Blustery with gusts as high as 33 miles per hour. And then looking ahead to Friday, partly sunny with a high near 32. And we've got 27 degrees right here in Midtown Manhattan. Let's get our top 5 headlines.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
So it is New Year's Eve. Lots of celebrations going to be out there tonight, and also plenty of security prep for places like New York City. Near San Antonio, search crews have found a body while looking for a missing 19-year-old woman. All this Somali community fraud in Minneapolis is being closely looked at. We've got the latest in terms of some funding being cut off. Protests continue in Iran, and some of it's tied to economic frustration, but there's other aspects of it as well. Finally, President John F. Kennedy's granddaughter has died following a battle with cancer. And the NYPD is putting together a massive security plan for New Year's Eve in Times Square with more than 1 million people expected to show up.
Thousands of officers in and out of uniform will be assisted by K-9 units, counterterrorism units, helicopters, drones, and cameras, all leading up to and during the celebration.
People come here to bring in the new year, and it is our job to make sure they're able to do that and a level of safety, and we cannot wait to welcome the crowds.
Mayor Eric Adams says there's no specific credible threats. Revelers will have to go through security, maybe even twice, with viewing areas officially opening at 3 p.m. with no re-entry allowed. Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
Yeah, be advised if you're going to be driving at all in Midtown or in Manhattan today, there will be closures up in that bow tie area for Times Square, starting around midday. You heard there, 3 o'clock is when the screening points open for the penned-in areas. And that's the whole thing where lots of people, I guess, wear adult diapers because they have to be in there for so long, which, I mean, honestly, it doesn't really sound like a good time to me. But at the same time, I can understand the whole, bucket list thing, and you do it once, and you say you did it. Sadly, a body has been found in the search for a missing 19-year-old woman in Texas. Bexar County deputies say the body was discovered in tall grass just a few hundred yards from Camila Olmos's home, and a firearm was found at the scene. The body matches her clothing description, but officials say the medical examiner will confirm the identity and the cause of death in the coming days. But Camila Olmos had been missing since last Wednesday morning.
At this point, it's too early to tell if the body that we found is that of Camila, but at this point, we don't suspect foul play.
That's Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar.
I can tell you that we found a firearm very near the body, and And in this particular case, we were actually looking for a firearm as well that had come up missing.
And Salazar, I guess you could probably put it together, says the evidence does show the person may have committed suicide.
One of the possibilities that we were working under was the fear of self-harm. And at this point, there are some indicators that the body that we found may be as a result of that.
And Camila Olmos was apparently going through some mental health struggles. That's something that Sheriff Salazar told us yesterday.
During the course of the investigation, we developed some information that there may have been some suicidal ideations on Camila's part before, some signs of depression, undiagnosed as far as we can tell.
And you know that the number to call at this point, if you're ever struggling with something like that or know somebody who is, 988. Just like 311 or 911, you can get that suicide and crisis lifeline anytime, 988. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it is freezing all child care payments to the state of Minnesota amid these reports of widespread fraud.
And the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it's freezing all child care payments to the state of Minnesota amid reports of fraud. Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill said in a post on X that all child care payments to the state are now frozen, with steps taken Tuesday against what he called the blatant fraud that appears to be rampant in Minnesota and across the country. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And that post from Jim O'Neill went on to say that all of these payments across America will require a justification and a receipt or photo evidence before being sent, which kind of makes you wonder why that wasn't a thing already. O'Neill has demanded an audit of these child care centers in Minnesota from Governor Tim Walz. A fraud reporting hotline and an email address has been set up here. And this coming after video published by independent journalist Nick Shirley, a YouTuber, which shows abandoned daycares in Minnesota that get subsidized by millions of dollars in taxpayer money, but don't actually have any kids in their care, it would seem. Walz's office, Governor Walz, says he's taken many steps to address the problem and supports criminal prosecutions, but he's also said that President Trump is targeting the state's Somali immigrant community with the investigation. Going international here, protests are growing in Iran as students call for an end to regime rule. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Tehran yesterday, some chanting, "Death to the Islamic Republic." And that particular sound comes from the University of Tehran, where students chased after the Islamic regime's thugs and drove them away from campus. Now, these protests began on Sunday as the Iranian currency hit a new low, as it was in 2016 when 34,000 Iranian rials equaled $1 US. Today, it takes 1.3 million rials to equal the value of $1. And many shop owners in Tehran and other cities have closed their stores to join these protests, as Iran's president says they're in a full-scale war with the U.S. President Trump, as of this week, had said the U.S. will go after Iran and also support strikes potentially from Israel if Iran tries to restart its nuclear program, which you may remember was severely impacted, at least, over the summer when we dropped those bunker buster bombs down on their facilities. All right, pausing here for a second from the top five as we're going to check what's going on with traffic and transit. Joe Nolan has the week off, as does Noam Layden. So we're going to get the traffic right now. We've got station notices up for the R and W. This is something we talked about yesterday. There's platform stair repairs going on. So if you're taking the R or the W, there's no transfers available at the 14th Street Union Square stop, and it's the J, Z, N, Q, and 6 that you might be looking to transfer to there. You can't do that right now. And in terms of the Long Island Railroad, we're on or close to schedule. Metro North is on a special reduced schedule given the New Year's Eve holiday, but they're on or close to schedule right now in terms of the trains that they're actually running. And New Jersey Transit is on or close to schedule at this point. Checking the Hudson River crossings, as you might imagine, on this New Year's Eve morning. Pretty quiet right now. Nothing to tell you about at those crossings. It's going to cost you about 5 minutes at the GWB, the Lincoln, and the Holland. That's traffic and transit on 77 WABC's 5 a.m. News Hour. All right, we were just talking about all these protests in Iran, and that's obviously an interesting story that we're continuing to track this entire week. This is a sad story. The granddaughter of President John F. Kennedy has died. Tatiana Schlossberg, died from cancer at the age of 35, and that's per a statement released by the JFK Library Foundation, signed by her family. And she was the daughter of Kennedy's daughter, Caroline Kennedy, survived by her husband, George Moran, their young son and daughter. Schlossberg revealed last month that she had less than a year to live after being diagnosed with leukemia. And this New Year's Eve, the revelers that are going to pack in and go through the security checkpoints in New York City and Manhattan will be waiting for a second ball to drop.
The annual Times Square celebration will include the traditional ball drop at midnight, but this year it will be followed by a second drop 4 minutes later. The second drop will see the ball decorated in red, white, and blue to mark 2026 as the 250th birthday of the United States. The ball will also be dropped on July 3rd, just before the nation's actual birthday. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
We've been talking a lot about flu in recent days. Up in Boston, as the rate of flu and other respiratory viruses continue to climb, all doctors and staff in the Mass General Brigham hospital system are now required to wear masks when interacting with patients. There's currently no mask mandate for patients or visitors, but you're being urged to do so, especially those who are at higher risk. And we did hear from Dr. Peter Mikolos yesterday on Sid and Friends in the Morning that basically the importance for masks is that they kind of act like a prophylactic. So if you're sick or getting sick and you wear a mask and you cough or you sneeze, it just blocks the distance that is going to go. And so it kind of reduces the extent to which people are potentially going to get sick from that. But as they do that mask activity up in Boston, the CDC says there have been at least 4.6 million confirmed cases so far this flu season, 49,000 hospitalizations, more than 1,900 deaths. The CDC has labeled flu activity very high in both New York and New Jersey, and health officials have announced record activity in recent weeks. This is a little different, but connected. Cases of measles in the U.S. have reached their highest level in more than 3 decades. The CDC says for the first time since 1993, there were more than 2,000 cases of measles in 2025, and that's compared to less than 300 in 2024. We have heard about different outbreaks in certain communities. I think there was one in particular in Texas this week, if I'm not mistaken. Back to New York, City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani is just a day away from being sworn in. And yesterday, he made some announcements about his staff, such as naming Ramzi Qasim as New York City's chief counsel.
I'm delighted to announce that I am naming Ramzi Qasim as chief counsel. Ramzi will be joining the administration from CUNY, where he serves as a professor of law. Government service is no novel concept for Ramzi, who served as a senior policy advisor for President Biden from 2022 to 2024.
And Qasim is also controversial in the sense that he says he returned to the U.S. after 9/11 to defend al-Qaeda detainees. Mamdani continuing here.
Has deep experience arguing in court, including before the Supreme Court. I will turn to Ramzi for his remarkable experience and his commitment to defending those too often abandoned by our legal system. City Hall will be stronger with him in it, and our work of building a more prosperous city for all will have a powerful advocate.
And Qasim has previously defended Mahmoud Khalil, a Syrian terrorist sympathizer flagged for deportation on national security grounds because of the material and the ideas that he espoused and distributed. He's a leader, by the way, of that pro-Palestinian encampment at Columbia University in Morningside Heights. He spent more than 100 days in an ICE detention facility. That's the guy that Qasim defended recently. Now he's going to be chief counsel, Qasim. Mamdani saying of that choice,
my sincere hope is that New Yorkers who have long felt on the margins of this city, the homeless veteran straining to survive, the patient searching for the care that they need, an immigrant trying to get by, will feel that they now have leaders in their corner who understand their struggles and care to fight for them. That is the city I want to build, the prosperity I intend to deliver, and the leadership that has too long been lacking. Thank you.
Okay, so that kind of flowery and really self-important language, we better get used to that for the next 4 years. Mamdani has also tapped de Blasio alum Steve Banks as corporation counsel Elmhurst Hospital CEO Helen Arteaga has been appointed Deputy Mayor of Health and Human Services, and Mamdani has yet to announce a school's chancellor or transportation chief. All right, moving away from the tri-state for a second here, we're going to look back on the 2023 Nashville Christian school shooting because new FBI documents are coming to light. We'll talk about that in just a second here. WABC News Time, 5:16. Let's check in on the sports desk. In local action, the Devils fell to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-0, while the Islanders beat the Blackhawks 3-2 in a shootout after blowing a 2-goal lead. They held on. Islanders head coach Patrick Waugh says they'll take the 2 points.
It's a long year, and you have to find ways to win those games, those ugly ones, I call it. And you rather have them on your side than on the other side.
The Rangers are on the road to play the Washington Capitals today. That's a 12:30 puck drop. The Nets had the night off. So did the Knicks. But in local NBA action, the Knicks are playing tonight a rematch of the in-season cup game that they won. And this will be with the San Antonio Spurs tonight on the road in San Antonio. In the NFL, the finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's 2025 class have been revealed. First-time eligible finalists include New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees and Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald. Returning finalists include New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning, as well as Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle Willie Anderson and St. Louis Rams wide receiver Terry Holt from The Greatest Show on Turf. The class will be announced during the NFL Honors in February, with between 3 to 5 modern-era players inducted. And on the not-so-nice side, a judge is weighing whether court records in New England Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs' assault case will be sealed. And this follows a motion hearing held yesterday for Diggs, who faces charges of strangulation and assault. The word is this is a woman who was working as Diggs' private chef, and they had some sort of a disagreement. Diggs' attorneys deny the allegations, claiming that the whole thing is a financial dispute. An arraignment will be held January 23rd. The Patriots and the NFL say they're monitoring the situation. Meanwhile, a busy day for the Diggs family as the Cowboys released Trayvon Diggs, the two-time Pro Bowler, a cornerback. The 27-year-old will go through waivers and could become a free agent if he's not claimed. In baseball, the Angels are moving on from one of the most disappointing contracts, basically of all time. Anthony Rendon going to more or less have some of his contract deferred. He's not going to retire, but he will be on the permanently injured list, I guess. And the 35-year-old never played more than 58 games throughout his tenure with the Angels. Really crazy with how good he was as a member of the Washington Nationals. And that's sports here on 77 WABC. News time, 5:19, and I'm James Flippin, filling in for Noam Laden this week for the 5 a.m. news hour, and I'll be on with John Katsimatidis for Sid and Friends in the morning. All right, so let's check traffic and transit quickly, as we always do every 10 minutes or so here on the 5 a.m. news hour. The George Washington Bridge going to cost you 7 minutes as you get into town right now, 6 minutes heading in at the Lincoln Tunnel, and it is 7 minutes down at the Holland Tunnel. So generally speaking, nothing major to tell you about there. You got those ongoing station notices at the Union Square 14th Street stop for R&W trains. No transfers to some of the lines you'd normally be able to transfer to there. Long Island Railroad on or close to schedule. And the Metro North trains are on or close to schedule. Just be advised that the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines are running on a special reduced schedule this New Year's Eve. The trains for New Jersey Transit, no issues to report right now, on or close to schedule. And that's what's going on in terms of traffic and transit around the New York City area. I'm James Flippin. One of the things we were just saying was there are new documents from the FBI coming to light in the 2023 Nashville Christian school shooting that was carried out by 28-year-old Aiden Hale, or Audrey Hale. Born Audrey Hale, 28-year-old transgender Aiden Hale unleashed that rampage inside the school. And these newly released FBI documents indicate that there was federal student financial aid, FAFSA, that may have been used to buy the guns used in this attack. Records reportedly support statements from Hale's parents made to Metro Nashville Police in 2023, saying their child used federal Pell Grant money to buy the guns. Hale's mother explained that being over 25 and unemployed, while as a student, Hale qualified for grants without parental income factoring in. Now, police previously recovered a manifesto that was allegedly written by Hale. There was also hand-drawn maps and other writings taken from Hale's vehicle, as Hale was familiar with the school, had attended it previously, this Christian school. And Nashville police, the FBI, continue to withhold the full manifesto for some reason. Many people have been frustrated by this, but there have been reportings that Hale's journals, partly posted online, include her hating white people and expressing her love of black people. Matter of fact, there's one document, some graphic that's circulating online that says she or he continued to think about attacking a different school, but didn't do so because it had a predominantly black population. Again, none of that fully confirmed by the FBI, but there's a lot of this internet sleuthing these days, as indicated by Nick Shirley up in Minneapolis. You know, there's a bunch of new laws that take effect tomorrow as the new year starts. New social media limits for minors go into effect for Virginia, North Carolina, and Minnesota. In California, there's a new law banning ICE agents from wearing masks while on duty. That's one of those things. If I told you 5 years ago that California was banning a law, putting a law in place that banned you from wearing a mask, how much would that flip your wig? But yeah, right now there's a law that's going to go into effect for ICE agents saying that they can't cover their faces while on duty, all part of that anti-immigration enforcement stuff out in California. New York, Illinois, Delaware have new laws coming in that would allow terminally ill patients to end their lives with medical assistance, controversial in terms of the assisted suicide thing. And New Jersey, we've got a note about this later in the show, has a law that's going to require a thorough investigation of chronic school absenteeism in 2026. And the minimum wage goes up in 17 states starting tomorrow as well. French President Emmanuel Macron is choosing to stay away from the funeral of film icon Brigitte Bardot. Bardot died Sunday at the age of 91 and was widely celebrated for her role in French New Wave cinema, as well as her animal rights activism. But her legacy for somebody like Macron is controversial because she made remarks against immigration, and unchecked immigration at that. And she was actually, I guess, convicted in the French legal system of hate speech. Macron's office confirmed he will not attend next week's service. Far-right former presidential candidate Marine Le Pen says she plans to be there. President Trump looking forward to one thing for sure in the new year, a new Federal Reserve chair.
President Trump says he'll likely announce his pick to replace Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell next month. At a news conference, Trump said he's considering legal action.
The guy's just incompetent. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. He's just a very incompetent man, but we're going to probably bring a lawsuit against him.
Powell is a frequent target of the president, who has criticized his leadership of the central bank and often its refusal to cut interest rates. Trump said he'd love to fire Powell, but it's already close to the end of his term. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And, you know, President Trump has renamed the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts to the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. That has some artists, some performing artists, unhappy. And they've canceled some upcoming appearances at the Trump Kennedy Center. Center President Rick Grenell brushing that off, saying that the artists are far leftists and that the boycott from that group makes no sense. As we get ready to say goodbye to 2025, millions will dress up and go out for the night, but not everybody.
Times Square officials say about 1 million people will pack into the streets of New York to welcome the new year. Las Vegas says they'll see droves of people. But a YouGov poll says in reality, only 10% of us will actually dress up, go out, and celebrate. Many will have a home party, but about 44% of Americans say they'll be in bed before the midnight hour. No ball drop, no resolutions, no midnight kiss, just sleep. I'm Bree Tennis.
I mean, you can have resolutions even if you go to sleep before midnight. You know, I mean, you could have them planned out ahead of time or come up with it tomorrow. I don't know. But yeah, I hope anyway, that I'll be in bed before midnight because I'm going to be with you fine people doing the 5 a.m. news hour and the Sit-In Friends in the Morning program with John Catsimatidis on New Year's Day. So this new law in New Jersey that requires a thorough investigation of chronic school absenteeism, the definition of chronic absenteeism is when a student misses 10% or more of the school year for any reason. So now a chronic absenteeism task force will look into the causes, which could include illness, bullying, just not wanting to go to school, a lack of parental guidance, and then the task force is going to recommend solutions. The State Education Department for New Jersey says chronic absenteeism in the 2023-2024 period was nearly 15%, but that was down from 16.5% the year before, but obviously that's way too high. Wait a minute, 15% for the entire state? Yikes. The problem, especially acute apparently in kindergarten and pre-K, that one kind of makes sense, I guess, more so. You know, parents might decide, oh, okay, that's okay. They don't have to go to school today. I'm free from work or whatever. But then again, in high school, very bad in high school. So that's very troubling. And I love this note. Educators say it impacts learning and overall performance. Yeah, I would think so. All right, out in California, TMZ reports that a grand jury is being asked to consider a murder indictment against R&B singer David, who stylizes his name D4VD.
The indictment would be in connection with the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the teenage girl whose remains were found in the trunk of the singer's Tesla in September. Speaking with News Nation, private investigator Steve Fisher says police found a burn cage incinerator and a chainsaw at David's rented Hollywood Hills home. Fisher says there was no obvious purpose for a chainsaw to be at the house. If he's convicted, David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, could be forced to surrender immediately. Prosecutors are reportedly still presenting their case to the grand jury. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And let's check traffic and transit on this New Year's Eve. As you look at the Hudson River crossings, it's only going to cost you 7 minutes right now, according to the Port Authority, to get into town at the GWB. 6 minutes down at the Lincoln Tunnel. And if you're coming into the downtown area using the Holland Tunnel, well, that's going to cost you about 7 minutes. So really doesn't look like there's anything major to tell you about. And the New York City subway system is kind of humming along as well. The R and W trains don't have their typical transfers at the 14th Street Union Square station due to platform stairwell work, steps being repaired. On or close to schedule for the LIRR trains, on or close to schedule for the Metro North trains, but you are running a special reduced schedule for the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines. So if you're planning to take the train into town for New Year's Eve, be advised you're going to want to check the app and the website and see what's going on. New Jersey Transit trains on or close to schedule, and the same appears to be true for New Jersey Transit buses. So that's traffic and transit here on 77 WABC. All right, 5:29 as we continue along here on the 5 a.m. news hour. Let me tell you this. This holiday season, help the 77 WABC Radio Foundation to feed those in need. Go to WABCFoundationCares.com. Join 77 WABC, AARP New York City, the Police Athletic League, Gristedes and D'Agostino's Supermarkets, and nationwide imaging services as we deliver holiday meals to thousands of families across the city. Giving back to those in need, go to WABCFoundationCares.com. 77 WABC Cares. And speaking of us caring, we love animals here at the station. So with the celebrations of New Year upon us, experts are warning everybody, don't forget about your pets. The loud noises like fireworks and big parties and all that noise and excitement and activity can scare dogs. Animal care specialists recommend keeping them indoors and, watching them, keeping them safe. That could involve taking them out for bathroom breaks a little earlier tonight, keeping music on the, music player or TV or whatever. That could help, some background noise. The ASPCA recommends keeping animals away from champagne and other alcohol. That could definitely be dangerous. And obviously, we recommend that you try to avoid having too much if you're going to be imbibing, and certainly do not drink and drive. We hope you'll use rideshare services, taxis, designated driver, whatever it may be. All right, it's 5:31 here on the 5 a.m. News Hour. We're going to tell you what to expect from the financial markets today. We're also going to talk a little bit about the D.C. pipe bomb suspect And what were the most mispronounced words of 2025? As a matter of fact, who is the most mispronounced word? And we'll talk about that on the 5 a.m. News Hour. I'm James Flippin, in for Noam Laden.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
And good morning. It is 5:34 on Wednesday, December 31st, New Year's Eve. It is going to be chilly for the ball drop. If you are going to be among the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, they always say up to 1 million that are going to be there for the ball drop. I don't know about that, but there will be a lot of people there, and it's going to be cold. Right now, mostly cloudy. We're actually rising today from our overnight low of 24. Right now, it's 27 in Midtown. Wind chill values in the teens. We've got steady wind right around 17 miles per hour, so it's breezy. Today will thankfully not be as windy as yesterday was. Tonight into Thursday, heading into 2026, there's the chance for snow, probably less than half an inch if we get it. Breezy and cloudy overnight with a low near 25. And then tomorrow, Thursday, New Year's Day, mostly cloudy through mid-morning, becoming sunny. The temperature will fall tomorrow to around 25 by the evening rush. And again, wind chill values between around 10 and 15. It'll be blustery tomorrow. Wind gusts as high as 33 miles per hour. Friday, partly sunny, getting up to 32. There will be no trading on Wall Street for New Year's Day. Both the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ will be closed January 1st. Bond markets close early this afternoon, 2 p.m. when bond markets closed, and they'll be closed as well tomorrow. In terms of economic data, you're actually going to get initial jobless claims this morning, as they're typically released on Thursday, so they're doing that a day early. No regular mail delivery or shipping on New Year's Day, although priority mail and critical packages will be delivered by the Postal Service. Banks, government offices, they're going to be closed for the holiday, and there will be a lot of stores open, but some close early today. A judge is now considering a request to release D.C. pipe bomb suspect Brian Cole Jr. from jail. Cole was in court this week, yesterday actually, for a hearing before U.S. Magistrate Judge Matthew Sharbaugh. Prosecutors say Cole had confessed to placing pipe bombs outside both the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters January 5th, 2021, so right before the events of January 6th at the U.S. Capitol building. And in essence, they want to have Cole held without bond pending trial. Defense lawyers argue he could be safely released into the custody of his family. Judge Sharbaugh declined to rule yesterday. A decision is expected soon. Do you have trouble with some words? I guess for some people, library can be tough. Hospital, maybe. The list of this year's most mispronounced words is out. Guess who is at the top?
The language learning platform Babbel assembles the list, and it includes the name of New York City's next mayor.
Mamdani. Is that how you say his name? Mamdani?
Mamdani. Front runner, Mamdani.
Another most mispronounced word is acetaminophen, or you could just call him Mr. Mayor and then take an aspirin. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
Yeah, gonna need lots of painkillers for sure. Well, who can forget comedian Shane Gillis on SNL? This audio courtesy of NBC, but Shane Gillis, of course, was parodying our old buddy Curtis Sliwa during the campaign for mayor. Now, Curtis Sliwa, let's be clear, he says it as Zorhan, if we're being accurate. He can't say Zoran, there's no question about that, but he'll say Zorhan. That's his mispronunciation. But Shane Gillis had some fun with that whole thing.
And I believe I'm saying this right, Zoltar Rob Zombie.
So, yeah, that's not exactly how he says it. He says it as Zorhan, which, again, isn't right. It's Zoran Mamdani. Everybody's going to have to get used to that, as it's just a few hours away when he becomes mayor. The New Jersey Devils going to host a youth hockey clinic in Toms River next week, and online registration is open. So if you're down along the Jersey Shore, this clinic is a partnership between the Devils and the Toms River Hockey Club. Children ages 5 to 9 able to participate. The Devil's going to run that clinic beginning at 6 o'clock every Monday through February. And I want to tell you about our newsletter. You can go to WABCRadio.com to sign up for our new and improved newsletter. You get the best of 77 WABC sent directly to your inbox. Go to WABCRadio.com, click newsletter, and sign up for our weekly send to your email inbox of this newsletter. We got in-depth analysis from the news team, key moments from our talk shows, plus video, and even deals on 77 WABC merchandise at times. There's the 77 WABC newsletter for you to sign up for, and we send it every Monday at 6 a.m. So go to WABCRadio.com to get that. And as we come up against 5:39 on this Wednesday morning, it's New Year's Eve. Let's check what's going on with the traffic and the transit at the Hudson River crossings. The Port Authority says it's only going to cost you 7 minutes to get into town at the GWB, the Lincoln, and the Holland Tunnel, so no major incidents to report. The New York City subways are also not reporting any major problems right now. You've got that ongoing platform work at 14th Street Union Square. On or close to schedule for the LIRR trains. Metro North trains are on or close to schedule, but they are running a special schedule, the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines, running a reduced schedule this New Year's Eve. You're on or close to schedule for the New Jersey Transit bus system. And let's see, the trains were looking just fine earlier. Yep, on or close to schedule for the New Jersey Transit trains. So that's traffic and transit here on 77 WABC. A rare blast of cold air is sweeping down into Florida. As we were telling you yesterday, these freezing temperatures were even going to be expected in the Gulf Coast yesterday. This rare blast of cold air down in the Orlando area has some water parks shutting down. There's Universal's Volcano Bay and Disney's Typhoon Lagoon. That's going to close through New Year's Day. Most of the state under cold weather advisories and freeze watches, except for South Florida. So down in Miami, at least, my goodness, you don't have a freeze advisory. Pope Leo is warning Catholics against the dangers of gambling. The Pope gave a speech at the Vatican this week and warned his followers that gambling does ruin many families, calling gambling an addiction, a serious problem of education, mental health, and social trust. He noted many people also do suffer from loneliness, mental disorders, depression, cultural and spiritual poverty, and social abandonment, including, in the Pope's words, the fact that there are many people that just need hope these days. Boeing is being awarded an $8.6 billion contract to build fighter jets for Israel. Under this agreement, Boeing will produce 25 new F-15s for Israel, and there's an option for an additional 25 aircraft. And that work will be done in St. Louis, Boeing's location there, expected to be finished by 2035. President Trump announced that agreement following his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And it comes despite demands from pro-Palestinian and anti-war activists to end any such cooperation with the government of Israel. Sex Pistols singer Johnny Lydon, a.k.a. Johnny Rotten, says he didn't hear from any of his former bandmates, following the death of his wife.
Nora Forster passed away in 2023 after a battle with Alzheimer's at the age of 60. During a recent conversation with The Times, Lydon admitted that he thought he would hear from his estranged former Sex Pistols bandmates, but no one ever reached out. After being asked if he would join the band on stage again, he simply answered no. The singer is still active with his band Public Image Limited. I'm Mark Mayfield.
New data suggests that boiling drinking water can remove microplastics. Researchers at China's Guangzhou Medical and Jinan universities spiked soft water and hard tap water with 3 common plastics, polystyrene, polyethylene, and polypropylene, for this study. Findings suggest that boiling and filtering out those crystals can remove up to 90% of nano and microplastics present in water, and it removed 25% of these NMPs found in soft water. NMPs, is that? Oh, nano and microplastics. Got it. found in soft water, so 25% removed. Researchers note that water needed to have a high mineral content in order for the boiling to have an effect. So high mineral content, that's hard water. And it's the final day of the year. That's cause for celebration, as today is, well, not a day to drink water. It's a day to drink champagne.
Collectively, we'll drink about 360 million glasses of bubbly tonight. Officially, it's not champagne unless it's made within the 84,000 acres in the French region. But we won't tell if you're drinking sparkling wine, Prosecco, or even sparkling apple juice. Today, it's all about the bubbles. Proper champagne has 49 million of them per bottle. But do watch the uncorking. Flying corks kill 24 people every year. No kidding. I'm Bree Tennis.
Nice. And it won't just be the champagne that's flowing down in Southern California. Heavy rain is expected to fall tonight, and organizers of outdoors New Year's Eve events across Los Angeles being forced to make preparations.
Roberto Gonzalez from Gloria Molina Grand Park in downtown L.A. says their New Year's Eve show will go on.
We are mindful of the weather. We know there's rain in the forecast, but a little water never hurt anyone. We invite everyone to just be prepared to be outdoors in the weather. We are trying to adjust some of our layout to have more coverage.
The Tournament of Roses parade will also go ahead in Pasadena. The New Year's Day tradition, though, is almost guaranteed to be soaked. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
And speaking of weather, what's the latest with the bomb cyclone?
Winter weather alert. 77 WABC.
Yeah, I know for sure that Syracuse got walloped with this latest snow. As a matter of fact, I was looking at it where they had 19.3 inches so far, or that was yesterday around 7 o'clock. And that is the snowiest December on record for Syracuse, going back 76 years? Wow. Season to date, a whopping 71.3 inches has piled up for Syracuse. And that's according to Mike Seidel, who is a weather forecaster for Fox and also works for the Weather Channel, I believe. But yeah, this bomb cyclone, basically that's when you've got cold, dry air meeting warm, moist air, and it means rapidly intensifying dangerous conditions. You've got a blizzard warning in effect for Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Wisconsin, the Midwest as well as the Northeast, bracing for this. And snowfall could range from as many as 6 inches to 2 feet in spots. However, most of this is having already moved out. We do know that at one point, 100,000 customers were without power in Michigan. All right, news time, 5:45. Let's check in on the sports desk. In local action, the Devils fell to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-0, while the Islanders beat the Blackhawks 3-2 in a shootout after blowing a 2-goal lead. They held on. Islanders head coach Patrick Waugh says they'll take the 2 points.
It's a long year, and you have to find ways to win those games, those ugly ones, I call it. And you rather have them on your side than on the other side.
The Rangers are on the road to play the Washington Capitals today. That's a 12:30 puck drop. The Nets had the night off. So did the Knicks, but in local NBA action, the Knicks are playing tonight a rematch of the in-season cup game that they won, and this will be with the San Antonio Spurs tonight on the road in San Antonio. In the NFL, the finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's 2025 class have been revealed. First-time eligible finalists include New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees and Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald. Returning finalists include New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning, as well as Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle Willie Anderson and St. Louis Rams wide receiver Terry Holt from The Greatest Show on Turf. The class will be announced during the NFL Honors in February, with between 3 to 5 modern-era players inducted. And on the not-so-nice side, a judge is weighing whether court records in New England Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs' assault case will be sealed. And this follows a motion hearing held yesterday for Diggs, who faces charges of strangulation and assault. The word is this is a woman who was working as Diggs' private chef, and they had some sort of a disagreement. Diggs' attorneys deny the allegations, claiming that the whole thing is a financial dispute. An arraignment will be held January 23rd. The Patriots and the NFL say they're monitoring the situation. Meanwhile, a busy day for the Diggs family as the Cowboys released Trayvon Diggs, the two-time Pro Bowler, a cornerback, the 27-year-old, will go through waivers and could become a free agent if he's not claimed. In baseball, the Angels are moving on from one of the most disappointing contracts, basically, of all time. Anthony Rendon going to more or less have some of his contract deferred. He's not going to retire, but he will be on the permanently injured list, I guess. And the 35-year-old never played more than 58 games throughout his tenure with the Angels. Really crazy with how good he was as a member of the Washington Nationals. And that's sports here on 77 WABC. And our news time is 5:48, so we're going to quickly check in on the traffic and transit situation. It's been quiet around the tri-state. Only going to cost you 7 minutes getting into town at the Holland, at the Lincoln, and at the George Washington Bridge. Up to 8 minutes now inbound at the Holland Tunnel, so budget accordingly. No, it's pretty quiet out there right now. You've got nothing major going on with the New York City subways. You do have that ongoing platform stair repair at the 14th Street Union Square station, so that affects some ability to transfer from certain trains. On or close to schedule for the LIRR, on or close to schedule for Metro North trains, but you do have a special reduced schedule for New Year's Eve on the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines. New Jersey Transit is on or close to schedule for those trains, and that's what's going on with traffic and transit. News time, 5:49. We're just about 10 minutes away from the start of Sid and Friends in the morning on this special New Year's Eve celebration. You know, there's an increased police presence in Sydney, as you might imagine, given the horrific violence that unfolded in Bondi Beach during Hanukkah, targeting Jewish worshipers. That was earlier this month. New South Wales, that's the state that contains Sydney. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon says a complex operation is now in place, including more than 2,500 police officers, because, you know, Sydney's got a massive New Year's Eve celebration, just like we do in New York City, Sydney being one of the first major cities in that date line that'll celebrate the start of 2026. Here's Lanyon.
I want the community not only to be safe, but feel safe. We will have over 2,500 police officers in the central metropolitan area alone. That will comprise officers on the land and on the water, and we'll also have our aviation support up in the air to provide support.
Officials expect more than 1 million people to celebrate in that harbor area, that Sydney harbor area. And just a few weeks ago, the gunman that opened fire at Bondi Beach during the Hanukkah celebration killed 15 people. Back in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul taking some time at the end of the year to brag about some of her accomplishments.
You may not have noticed, especially after replacing a tire or two, but Governor Hochul is touting historic improvements to New York's roads and bridges this year. Hochul says more than 4,000 lane miles of state and local highways have been overhauled. 1.3 million potholes have been filled. We're not sure where, and nearly 3,700 bridges have been replaced or rehabilitated. I'm Lisa Ritchie for 77 WABC News.
Americans were scammed out of more than $330 million this year through schemes using Bitcoin ATM machines. According to a spokesperson with the FBI, new stats document fraud transactions using cryptocurrency kiosks that reflect a clear and constant rise that's not slowing down. More than 45,000 Bitcoin ATMs exist nationwide. They allow users to insert cash and then send it to a digital wallet anywhere in the world. Obviously, you know, most people would think, oh, I'll do that for my own digital wallet. But the scammers trick you so that you do it to their digital wallet. This can be nearly impossible to recover, unfortunately. AARP has advocated for more stringent regulations to protect Americans from scams on Bitcoin ATMs. It's become an attractive method for prospective fraudsters. People will basically say that you've got some sort of financial problem, that they can help you pay that off if you go to this ATM, if you go to the Bitcoin ATM, and then once you send that money, it's gone. You might as well lit it on fire. So you really want to be aware of that and always question, who is this person that's asking me to do this stuff with my money? And a new study shows that worrying about money ages a heart just like other high-risk factors, including heart disease. Researchers presented findings in the Mayo Clinic showing that heart aging associated with money worries is similar to that caused by other risk factors, including diabetes, high blood pressure, prior heart attacks. The research shows financial strain increased the risk of premature death by 60% compared to 10% for a previous history of heart attack and 27% for smoking. So it's even worse than smoking. The study involved more than 280,000 people treated by the Mayo Clinic between 2018 and 2023 using AI technology. And unfortunately for movie star Mickey Rourke, financial worries and financial stress is pretty front and center. He's apparently close to being evicted.
That's according to a lawsuit that was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court. It says that the 73-year-old actor is now $60,000 behind in his rent. The LA Times says he started renting a bungalow back in March for $5,200 a month. Then the rent went up to $7,000 a month. Rourke was a major star in the 1980s, but his career has been spotty in recent decades as he battled personal and financial problems. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And sticking with financial news for a second here, in a rare move, e-vehicle giant Tesla is previewing what it says will be a downbeat report concerning fourth quarter deliveries. The electric car maker says it expects a year-over-year drop of about 15%. Some analysts think that Tesla may be trying to prepare the market for bad news with its official fourth quarter and annual production and delivery numbers coming out soon. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has announced it's freezing all child care payments to the state of Minnesota amid these widespread reports of fraud. Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill put a post up on X saying all child care payments to the state of Minnesota are now frozen, steps taken yesterday against what he called the blatant fraud that appears to be rampant in Minnesota and across the country. The post went on to say that all child care payments across America will require a justification and a receipt or photo evidence before actually being sent. A judge is now considering a request to release D.C. pipe bomb suspect Brian Cole Jr. from jail. Cole was in court yesterday for a hearing before a U.S. magistrate judge, Matthew Sharbaugh. Prosecutors say Cole has confessed to placing pipe bombs outside both the Republican and Democratic national headquarters in D.C. the day before the events of January 6th, 2021. And they've said they want Cole held without bond pending trial. Defense lawyers argue he could be safely released into the custody of his family. Judge Sharbaugh did not rule yesterday. A decision is expected soon. The granddaughter of former President John F. Kennedy has died. The JFK Library Foundation announced that 35-year-old Tatiana Schlossberg has died from cancer. She leaves behind two small children. Schlossberg revealed last month she had less than a year to live following the diagnosis of leukemia. Disney is agreeing to pay $10 million to settle FTC allegations that it violated children's privacy laws. According to the Department of Justice, the settlement will officially resolve allegations that Disney violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act in connection with popular YouTube video content. Talking a lot about New Year's Eve. Hope everybody has a great time with their friends and family as we count down the hours and the minutes until we get to 2026. Bob Dylan paying tribute to his longtime friend, Willie Nelson.
And you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, or the times they are a-changing.
In a New Yorker article titled How Willie Nelson Sees America, Dylan called Nelson an ancient Viking soul, master builder of the impossible, and a moonshine philosopher. He went on to say, that doesn't tell you a lot or explain anything about Willie, adding, personally speaking, I've always known him to be kind, generous, tolerant, and understanding of human feebleness. To end his statement, Dylan said he's high and low, he's in harmony with the natural, and that's what makes him Willie. The New Yorker profile features insights from Nelson's collaborators and family. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Pope Leo held his last general audience of 2025 today, reflecting on a year marked by joy and sorrow, faith and war. He called on the faithful to reflect on what God has done for them and to examine their consciences honestly. He marked the occasion of the Holy Year and those who made a pilgrimage and asked that thoughts of God's love and mercy accompany people as they move from 2025 to 2026. In terms of the ongoing war fronts around the world, Boeing is being awarded an $8.6 billion contract to build fighter jets for Israel.
Under the agreement, Boeing will produce 25 new F-15s for Israel, along with an option for an additional 25 more aircraft. The work will be done at Boeing's St. Louis location and is expected to be finished in 2035. President Trump announced the agreement after his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss the next phase of a ceasefire deal for Gaza. It comes despite demands from pro-Palestinian and anti-war activists to end U.S. government support for Israel. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
77 WABC News Time, 5:58. Let's get our last check of traffic and transit, as it is thankfully pretty quiet right now on the roadways, it seems. Going to cost you 7 minutes getting into town at the major Hudson River crossings. It's pretty much uniform for the Lincoln, the Holland, and the GWB. 7 minutes, according to the Port Authority. And for the New York City subway, no major issues to report here, but we do have that ongoing uptown platform stair repairs at the 14th Street Union Square station, so that's affecting the ability to transfer from R and W trains at that stop. You're on or close to schedule for the LIRR trains, on or close to schedule for Metro North trains. Just be advised, the Hudson, Harlem, and New Haven lines are running on a special reduced schedule for this New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2025. On or close to schedule, by the way, for New Jersey Transit. And that is your 77 WABC Traffic and Transit Report. As I say hello to John Katsimatidis, he and I will be filling in on the Sid and Friends in the Morning program as we get ready to say goodbye to 2025. You know, my grandmother always said that even years were better. I don't think she was like a super superstitious person, but super religious, as a matter of fact. But she always said that even years were better than odd years. So for anybody who's looking forward to turning the page, or maybe just looking back on 2025 with a little bit of, I don't know, we hope that you put the good memories where they need to go and look forward to what's to come in 2026. So I'm James Flippin, having filled in for Noam Laden on this edition of the 5 a.m. News Hour. We say Happy New Year to our listeners. We hope you have fun tonight with friends and family. And stay with us, because it's going to be myself, James Flippin, and John Katsimatidis filling in for Sid Rosenberg on Sid and Friends in the Morning.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.